Hey everyone, Joey here, and today we're going to be taking a look at gaming on a Samsung Galaxy Fold 8. And when I say gaming, I mean mostly retro emulation and some PC emulation and all of that. I'll leave the Android gaming to some other videos. I want to talk about what my experience has been and why the Fold 8 is probably the best phone for actual games. And you're going to see why, because of all the different aspect ratios and all of that, in a little bit. Now, I did this video last year with the Fold 7, and one of the big differences this year with the Fold 8 is that the aspect ratios have completely changed when you're folded and unfolded. The Samsung Galaxy Fold 8 is awesome. I love it, because I think that it just does the unfolding and front screen a lot better than last year's did. Not just for gaming, which we're going to talk about in depth today, but for pretty much everything. Like older 4x3 TV shows, for example, like Mr. Bean or older anime, or whatever you can think of that was a 4x3 aspect ratio TV show or movie. But also manga, like Pokemon Festival of Champions, or really whatever manga you plan on reading. It is a gorgeous use of the display, and it is an absolutely perfect use case for a fold. You can get lost into TV shows and movies and manga and whatever you want on this device in any mode that you want. However, today is all about gaming, of course, and so we're going to take a look at what happens when you run a bunch of systems on the Samsung Galaxy Fold 8. The front screen is a 5.5-inch 1972 by 1248 resolution, which is approximately a 16 by 10 aspect ratio screen, with 120 Hz, of course. The unfolded screen is a 7.6-inch 2448 by 1848 4x3 aspect ratio screen. Going off of that already, you could probably see where I'm going with this. I'm actually going to be using the GameSir G8 Plus for today's video, which actually works perfectly with my Samsung clear magnet case. Just look at the back of the case. There is the camera ring, and that keeps it right snug in the right spot of the G8 Plus. It's like it was made perfectly for it. This is also the case if you turn it into portrait mode, because the edges of the case keep it perfectly aligned as a stopper to make sure everything just stays in place. Honestly, it feels like the G8 Plus was made perfectly with the Samsung magnet case and this phone. It all just works. Let's go ahead and start with streaming, and I'm using Artemis here with Vibe Polo as the backend, and it doesn't skip a beat. We're using Vibe Polo or Apollo as the backend since virtual displays match our phone's display to streaming. And again, this is a 2448 by 1848 4x3 aspect ratio when unfolded. Some games will do just fine with a 4x3 aspect ratio. Latency is awesome, but there are going to be some cases where it doesn't look that great. Let's work our way up and start with Game Boy and Game Boy Color. I did try out virtual buttons, and I shuddered a little bit doing this. And while it is a terrible experience, it actually works out well for how much of the screen is available for Game Boy screen and where the controls are by default. Game Boy Advance is gorgeous here, and you are basically almost full screen. There is a camera cutout issue that we'll talk about in a second, but Game Boy Advance games on here are just chef's kiss. Despite being a 4x3 or 16 by 10 aspect ratio screen, if you like Game Boy Advance games, play them here. It's a perfect fit. But folded, I couldn't get rid of the camera cutout that wants to think that it's there. And this will be a running theme for a few different emulators. There is likely an Android setting somewhere outside of the emulators, because I do have that one fixed, that I'm not sure what's going on. But Super Nintendo is obviously the standout. 4x3 system on a 4x3 display, and a large display here. This is what you want to show someone when you want to sell the Fold 8 to them. Hey, just look at Donkey Kong Country 3 on this. And that translates perfectly to PlayStation 1 as well, because it's just a perfect fit for the Fold 8. Do you spend $2,000 on a phone to play these games? Absolutely not. Do you buy a Fold 8 and then play these games because you can? Absolutely. Jumping into DS now, and it's basically just perfect all around. Folded and unfolded. DS is just awesome. You want to be in portrait mode for this one, of course, but when you are, you have massive screens, and probably the best DS experience that you can get on a single display. Getting to Nintendo 3DS with Azahar here, and this is also a fantastic experience. You have lots and lots of screen area to work with on both folded and unfolded, and you can easily upscale to 5x or more on this processor. I think Azahar needs a few more portrait-style emulator options to match their landscape ones, but you can also just customize the layout however you want in their settings. Otherwise, 3DS doesn't get much better here. Then we get to Dolphin with GameCube, and it's another 4x3 system. Unfolded, it's just gorgeous. This is a massive 4x3 display, probably the best out there. But either way, you're probably going to be playing this unfolded, and unfolded, there's a lot to play with here, and it looks great. So you have no problems playing any GameCube or Wii games here, upscaled as much as you want. Same scenario with PlayStation 2 emulation with ARM SX2. Upscale this to whatever you want. You have the power for all of PS2, and it's gorgeous here again. It's no surprise that a device with a 4x3 aspect ratio screen will make 4x3 games look great, and it does. But the best part about this phone is how versatile it is. You have the 4x3 if you want it, but then you also have the 16x10 if you want that. So there isn't really anything that doesn't look good here. Then we get to PSP, which is the first of our 16x9 content here, and it is also pretty great too. The black bars for 16x9 content aren't a lot, you have way more than enough room for the display. PSP obviously has no issues upscaled at any resolution. It's an easy to play system, and it looks even better when folded too. And then we get to Nintendo Switch here, and aside from some minor texture flickering, which is just compatibility with the emulator and the custom drivers, Switch is perfect. You can upscale 1x to 1.5x to 2x docked. There is a lot of power for a lot of different games. It's 16x9, so you have a lot of display, you have the power, and you have a foldable Switch, which is pretty cool. And then something special here, but there is Pocket Pinball on the Play Store, and you basically load up any of your pinball ROMs, because that's something that exists, and you can play any pinball table that you want, for the most part. So I just have Jurassic Park here, and I was loading it up on the Pocket Pinball, have it in portrait mode, and this is very fun, and this all works with the controller as well. So you use the L1 and R1 for the flippers, use D-pad down to launch the ball, and there's a few other controls, but you can have a very good time playing pinball on this and portrait mode, which is how you want to do that. I didn't fiddle around with any of the settings, this is just default, but there's a lot of settings you can play with if you want this to be an even better experience. But yeah, pinball, something you probably wouldn't expect in this video, but it's there and you can play it. Lastly, if you don't want to stream, you do have PC emulation on Android using GameHub or Game Native. And if you haven't seen what you can do nowadays with PC emulation on Android, you definitely should, because there's a lot. But just playing some Mega Bonk here, uncapped frame rate, using the full screen, and this would be a perfect experience. Throw on your favorite indie from Steam and just go to town. Otherwise, that's all I really have for you today. Just a quick showcase of what you can do on a Fold 8 with gaming, and I hope that gives you a good insight into it. I love this phone even more than I love the Fold 7, which this is now the perfect realization of what a fold phone should be. Different aspect ratios and everything. It's awesome. I love it. Don't forget to like and sub to help the channel grow. Come join me on the Discord to talk all about retro gaming, and hope you all have a good one.